Hello everybody and welcome to my review of the 2021-22 Charlton Athletic January transfer window. As always with every single season, I like to review Charlton's transfer dealings in every transfer window, and we're going to be doing it again for this January, and it is safe to say that it's been an interesting one again, but overall I think it has been a fairly successful one. So our January dealings kicked off quite late into the window. Well, I say quite late, probably in the middle of the January transfer window, and it started with a new addition, and of course it was the return of a familiar face as we completed the permanent signing of Birmingham City striker Chuks Aneke. Chuks did make his return to the Addicts 6 months after leaving the club on a free, but he has made his return rather soon, a lot sooner than I thought he was going to, and to be fair, I didn't even think he was ever going to make a return to Charlton. But I'm going to spend not much time talking about this deal, as I did do an Addicts Editions on this signing. In fact, the only Addicts Editions episode that I did on one of our signings. We have seen Chuks before, and I've spoken about him on the channel multiple times. We know exactly what we're going to get with this player, a very powerful, impactful player. Johnny Jackson did come out and say that he doesn't like the fact that he's labelled as an impact player, someone who can only come off the bench. He played a full 90 against Cheltenham, a full 90 against Fleetwood, and managed, I think, 80 against Portsmouth on Monday night before he came off of a hamstring injury. Hopefully that's nothing too serious. Very dominant in the air, someone with a little bit of trickery as well, loves to hold up the ball and bring others into play. Of course, a massive signing as well, with the injury to Jayden Stockley. Financially, not a great look for the club. Obviously, we did let him go on a free. I say we let him go. He chose to leave and join Birmingham, obviously, for free. And then 6 months later, we pay £300,000 for him. So, yeah, financially, not a great deal, but like I said, we know exactly what we're getting out of Chuks, and I think overall it was a signing that we did need, and a very decent one, because there's no denying that his goal record at League One level, he can do it at this level. You know, he was our top scorer last season, 15 goals. I know a lot of people weren't too keen on bringing him back, but I think those people seem to forget how impactful Chuks was for us last season and how much of an important player he was, and you can definitely make the argument, really, that we didn't replace Chuks. Following the arrival of Chuks, we did see a number of our youngsters head out on loan to a number of clubs. I'm not going to go into too much detail with them, as they aren't really first team players. We saw Hadi Gondor go out to Chelmsford City, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong with that one, but I know that he has gone out on loan. I don't know if it's short term or until the end of the season. I don't actually think the club disclosed how long. Nathan Harness has also gone out on loan to Dulwich Hamlet. He's featured a couple of times for us in the Papa John's Trophy, so hopefully he can get himself some much needed minutes as well. And then after that, it was very clear, or made very clear, should I say, by Johnny Jackson, that we were in the market for a fullback. Now, the first instant that we saw with that is that we did, according to Richard Cooley, start listening for offers for Pape Souaré. He won't be featuring for the team anymore come the end of the season, as of course we have gone on to sign a player in that position, which we'll get onto a bit later. And second of all, no matter what happens in terms of whether it happens now or it happens at the end of the season, Pape will be leaving the club. He will be going at some stage, whether we decide to mutually agree to terminate his contract or we decide to let his contract run down and then release him in the summer. Either way, it's made pretty obvious that Souaré will be leaving, and even more obvious for the fact that Charlton said that we're not looking for a fee. You know, we're literally just looking to offload him. And yeah, could completely agree with that. To be honest, Souaré has definitely been one of our worst performers this season, maybe even our worst. You know, he really has not been an impressive signing, way down the pecking order. And yeah, no matter what happens, whether we decide to let him go now or at the end of the season, Souaré will be going. There was one name that we were linked with going into, I think towards the end of the transfer window, I think a couple of days after Aneke signed. And it was quite an exciting prospect that we were going to be bringing in, although the deal never actually materialised. It was believed that we were going to sign Tottenham Hotspur right wing-back Marcel Lavania on loan until the end of the season. Now, it was reported that we were going to be getting him the day after this rumour came out. It seemingly came out of nowhere. From the clips that I've seen from him, he did look a very good player, you know. A fullback that loves to get forward, loves to be direct. I felt that Lavania, although he was young and very inexperienced, he was a player that could do that. So I was quite optimistic with the fact that we were going to bring him in, because it did seem quite nailed on that we were going to get Marcel. However, we did end up bringing in a fullback on the opposite side of the pitch, as we did complete the signing of Chelsea left wing-back Juan Castillo on loan until the end of the season, and shortly after that we completed the signing of another Premier League youngster in the form of Tottenham Hotspur's Niall John, who joins the club as well as Castillo on loan until the end of the season. Now, the reason why I'm talking about these two at the exact same time rather than talking about them individually, quite plain and simply and quite brutally honestly, I don't think either of them are going to play for us. And it is quite the bold statement to say that, but I just can't see it happening, especially more so when Johnny Jackson came out today at the time of recording this video and said that Juan and Niall have both not trained with the club that often, and obviously they were not in the matchday 18 against Portsmouth, which I was quite weirded out by. And then he did come out and say today, you know, I've got 25 players fit. You know, 7 players are going to miss out. You know, it's going to be difficult. I've got to make a choice, you know, based off players that are training and not training. And it's just left me quite annoyed, to be brutally honest with you, because it just makes me think, why did we sign these two, you know? And the fact that we brought in players on loan anyway was quite weird, considering our league position, you know. If we were higher up in the table and we were fighting for playoffs, then it would have made a lot more sense. The fact that we're sat in 15th, you know, basically playing for nothing when, you know, when I say playing for nothing, we could still realistically go down. I know we're 8 points off relegation and it's very unlikely that we're going to go down. It's still a possibility. The fact that we're signing loans just seems kind of pointless, and especially more so now from the fact that Jackson said that they're not training with the team. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we've not learned with, you know, bringing in players that aren't fit. I mean, clearly they're not fit if they're not training. You know, it just makes absolutely no sense to me. And I do hope that both of them prove me wrong, because there's no doubt that they are good players, or I think that they are anyway. But the fact that they're barely training with the squad, let alone not in the squad, just makes me think, you know, why the hell did we sign these guys? And it just makes me think we'd be much more better if we just promoted a couple of our youngsters and played them. But anyway, looking at the statistics of the players, going into a bit more detail, starting off with Castillo. Of course, he did spend the first half of the season with Birmingham City alongside Chuks and Aneke, where he really struggled to tie down first team football. He played 3 times in the Championship. I don't even think any of them were starts either. They might have been, I'm not entirely sure. And he also played twice in the Carabao Cup. He also played 4 times for their academy side, scoring 1 goal. I did feel that wing-back was a position that we did need, but I felt that right wing-back was probably the position that we needed more than the left wing-back position. And even more so, you know, like I say, we've brought in Castillo, you know, when we've got Ben Purrington, obviously, who I felt has played well this season. Suare's been diabolical, hence why we've brought him in. But then we're playing Corey Blackett-Taylor in that position. And that's no disrespect to Blackett-Taylor, because he deserves to start games. You know, his recent performances have been absolutely unbelievable. Castillo's come in. You could really say that he's our third choice player in that position, because we're playing Blackett-Taylor in that position, and you've got Purrington there as well. You know, I just don't think he's going to play. I really don't. And as for Niall John, I mean, there is no denying that there is a player there. If you take a look at his statistics this season in their academy team, he's played 14 games, scored 7 and got 4 assists. And he's also an England under-18 international. So there is no denying that he is a very good player. But the fact that he's not in training, like I said with Castillo, and I've mentioned it so many times, I apologise, but I just really don't see the point in any of these 2 signings, when realistically we have to say, are they really going to play? Because I don't think that they are. And I really hope that Jackson proves me wrong and he does play these boys. And obviously I'll support them if they do put on the shirt. I'll support any player that puts on the shirt. But I just really don't see the point in any of these 2 signings. And then following these 2 rather controversial loan signings, we have to say we did see a number of players leave the club on loan following that. The first of which was youth player Ben Dempsey, who did make the move to Scottish Championship side Ayr United on loan until the end of the season. Yeah, good decision for me. Very good decision. I felt Dempsey needed to get out and get some game time. Obviously, it has not been involved in the first team squad since the Championship season in 1920. I think he will be moving on in the summer, and I think, to be honest, he needs to, because after all, he can't play in the academy for much longer. I think he's like, what, 22 now? Maybe younger, maybe 21 or something, I don't know. Realistically, with the options we have in midfield, he's not going to get anywhere near the first team whatsoever. So I hope that he does have a good spell at Ayr United. Obviously, he has had previous loan spells at non-league with Woking. So I hope that he does make a name for himself up in Scotland. He can get some decent minutes under his belt. And then I think for his sake, it would be better if he would leave the club on a permanent basis. He is out of contract in the summer, I do believe. And the same can also be said for Josh Davison, who did make his return to League Two, although this time he has signed for Swindon Town on loan until the end of the season. And again, the best decision for both parties, really. You know, we needed to get him out on loan. You know, we've already got a lot of players in that attacking department. Obviously, Stockley being out injured, I know, but then you've got Washington, Aneke coming in, Lecco, who has not been great this season, in my opinion, overall, but is still an option to have. And then also Mason Burstow, who's had a breakthrough season, and we'll get onto him a bit later. But yeah, Davison, I felt that he did take his chance well under Nigel Adkins when he was given a go up front. And one thing that I've always said about Davison is you cannot knock his work rate. He gives 110% for the badge, and I really do like that about him. Unfortunately, the thing that was lacking for Davison with us was the goals. He needed to go somewhere, get some goals under his belt and gather some much needed experience. And I think he will do quite well at Swindon, or I hope he does anyway, obviously reuniting with his former teammate Johnny Williams. So yeah, I hope Davison has a good loan spell there. Again, like Dempsey, he is out of contract in the summer, so he does have a point to prove. He needs to have a very good second half of the season with Swindon if he wants to stand any chance of us giving him a new contract. But unfortunately, like Dempsey, I can also see him moving on in the summer, and to be honest, I think it is the best for him. And then came probably the most controversial move of the lot, I would say, to be honest with you. And that, of course, was the departure of Charlie Kirk. It was the thing that the player needed. You know, he did not work out for us whatsoever for the first half of the season. I know he's had a lot against him. You know, his dad dying just before we signed him, so that obviously delayed things a little bit. Absolutely horrible. And obviously he's come to new surroundings. You know, he's come down south playing in a system that has definitely changed as the season has gone on. You know, we brought him in to play on the left side of a 4-3-3 under Adkins, which is his best position. Then obviously when Jackson came in, he established the 5 at the back, and it was made very obvious that Kirk is not a wing back. So we needed to get him out on loan, get a bit of confidence to him. The thing that is controversial, and what makes it the most controversial bit of business that we've done, in my opinion anyway, is the club we've sold him to, or should I say loaned him to, and the details of the deal. We've loaned him out to Blackpool. He's gone to the Championship, the league above us, which, to be honest with you, is just complete insanity. I have no idea how he's ended up in the division above. I know he's obviously gone up north, and there is absolutely no doubt that there is a player there, but it does just make me think that, you know, why is he going to the Championship? But probably the most controversial out of all of them is the fact that Blackpool have an obligation to buy him at the end of this deal. It just dumbfounds me, because Jackson, in the interview after we let Kirk go, he was talking as if Blackpool didn't have an obligation to buy. You know, he said that I hope that Kirk obviously comes back a confident player and he can, you know, we can go from there. And I do agree with that. I do hope that he does have a good spell at Blackpool when he does come back to us. But I couldn't help but think that Jackson was talking as if they didn't have the option to buy him. And I'm pretty sure in option to buy cases, there's nothing that we can do, because we've agreed that Blackpool can take them if they want them to. So ultimately, it is Blackpool's decision. I just think this move is just so bizarre. Like, I just think the fact that he's ended up in the Championship, and the fact that we've allowed Blackpool to have an option to buy when he's barely been here. You know, he's been here for 6 months. He's had a lot against him. He's played only 8 times in the league, getting 1 assist. You know, the fact that we've given them an option to buy, if Blackpool do end up paying more than what we paid for him, so we make a profit, in that instance, I wouldn't be that disappointed. I would still be slightly disappointed for the fact that we signed, no doubt, a quality League One player. Look, it just hasn't worked out for him. A loan spell was definitely for the best. The fact that he's gone to the Championship is a bit bizarre, but even more so for the fact that they've got an option to buy. And if Blackpool do take up that option and we don't make a profit, we're going to look like such idiots. So I do hope Kirk does return to Charlton from his loan spell, and we do get the best out of him in the near future, because like I said, he's still a young lad at 24, and there is no doubt a player there. We go to transfer deadline day. I did see that we were linked with a couple of players over the course of the window, heading towards the final stages of deadline day. Of course, we were linked previously with Middlesbrough winger Marcus Brown until the deal did end up collapsing. Of course, Brown, initially we were going to sign him on loan, but then Richard Cawley confirmed that we were looking to bring him on a permanent basis. And then, of course, the deal collapsed. We opted to move elsewhere, and Brown has since completed a move to Oxford, which makes a lot of sense as he did have previous loan spells there. I think it was the right decision for us to pull out of the Brown deal because he has recently just recovered from an ACL injury, so we know what that's going to be like. You know, we're going to bring him in. He's obviously got to get up to fitness again, and then we don't know how well he's going to do. Obviously, a fantastic record at League One level with Oxford, but there is a massive risk when it comes to signing him. And ultimately, I felt that it was a risk too much because we need to learn to stop signing players that are not fit. We need someone to come in, hit the ground running and be ready to go. And Brown, unfortunately, at this point in time, isn't the player that we decided to go for instead of him. And I am, man, I'm so happy that we've managed to bring this guy in. I'm so happy that we have gone and got this one over the line. On transfer deadline day, we completed the permanent signing of Ipswich Town midfielder Scott FRASER. What a bloody signing. Oh my God. I'm so happy we've managed to bring him in. Quite strange though for the fact that he has left Ipswich so soon, as he did join Ipswich in the summer from MK Dons, but it just hasn't worked out for him at the Tractor Boys, and he finds his way in SE7 on a 3.5-year deal, a fee rumoured to be around £500,000. His time at Ipswich didn't really go to plan. For some reason, they decided to play him on the left side, which I felt was quite weird when he is naturally, I think, a number 10 or a number 8. In 15 games for Ipswich so far this season, he bagged 1 goal and 2 assists. The goal coming on the opening day of the season against Morecambe. I did think on that day after FRASER scored, he was going to have a really good impact with them, purely because of the season he had at MK Dons the year before. In 44 games, he scored 14 goals and got 6 assists. An absolutely unbelievable season. Of course, his time at Burton as well before that, he was very good. You know, over the years, he's proven himself to be a very, very solid and quality League One midfielder, and I'm a massive admirer of him. There is not a doubt in my mind that FRASER will be a starter in this team. I mean, obviously, Sangard and Gallen said that he was our number 1 target in the summer, so surely it makes sense for us to play him. I really hope we do give him some minutes. But yeah, very, very happy with this signing of FRASER. Very happy, and hopefully he can make an impact. As I said, very disappointing start to the season with Ipswich, but that is mainly due to the fact that Paul Cook was playing him out of position, and then McKenna decided to not play him, just didn't think he fit their system. He's now at us, and hopefully he can hit the ground running and he can have a really good end to the season. But of course, FRASER was not the last bit of business that we ended up doing. And to be honest with you, the last bit of business that we did end up doing, it's one that I did see coming. I do refer to our youth prospect and shining light, I think, this season on a number of occasions, Mason Burstow. As most of you will be aware by now, Burstow has completed his move to European champions Chelsea, and of course, a part of the deal, he will be returning to the Addicts on loan until the end of the season. Now, obviously, it's a great move for him, and obviously as an 18-year-old, you'd obviously be attracted to the sheer amount of money that he's going to be earning there. Obviously, he's going to be getting a bigger paycheck, and obviously from a Charlton perspective, hopefully we've got a good fee out of this. Obviously, Sangard has been saying that he wouldn't sell Burstow for under the valuation that they set. I'm hearing a lot of numbers flying about the place. Some were saying, 1.5 million. Some were saying 2. Some were even saying 4 million, which I think is, well, very, very unlikely, to be fair. I even think 1.5 million, which is the most talked about fee that we've got, is still quite ludicrous, to be honest, for a player of Burstow's stature. He barely broke through our team, when he made the games. He played only 7 times in League One, of course, scoring 2 goals. His impact he had when he was playing was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, one of the main shining lights of our team, and of course has had a very impressive campaign in the Papa John's trophies. The thing that annoys me most about this is the fact that we've let another youth prospect go very early into his career. Obviously, as I said, for an 18-year-old, it's the dream move. And of course, why isn't your head going to get turned by that sort of move? But unfortunately, that is, modern day football. Their heads are just going to turn straight away just like that when they see, a big amount of money coming in. But the thing that does weird me out more about this entire deal is the fact that he's come back to us on loan until the end of the season, because clearly, to me anyway, his head isn't in it. Even more so from the fact that Burstow now becomes our 6th loan. Him, Famwo, Lee, Lecco, and then Castillo and John as well, who've brought in this transfer window. That's 6 loans. And of course, as you know, in a matchday squad, you're only allowed 5 players. So one of those loans has to miss out. I just don't get it. I don't know why he's come back on loan. If you wanted to make the move to Chelsea so badly, to be honest with you, I'd rather he just stay there. Shame that that's the way modern football goes, you know, obviously 18-year-old, just broken onto the scene at Charlton, barely broken onto the scene, in fact, because he's not played that many games for us. And then his head is turned, he makes the move to Chelsea, but at the end of the day, I think he wanted the move. Obviously, it's a dream move for him. Hopefully, we've got a big fee out of it and we've got a decent fee and we can invest into that squad. By the sounds of it as well, we have got a sell-on clause as well, which is obviously brilliant news. But I just don't know, man. It's just another case of us letting go of another academy player just before they're about to break into the team. And more so the loan situation, you know, I just don't get it. I just don't get it, really. Even more so from the fact that he's obviously left the club where he's getting first-team football and he's going to be playing academy football. And let's be real, you know, it's going to take him donkeys of years to get into that Chelsea team. And I can't help but feel like he's going to be the next Lewis Baker. You know, a player that's just going to constantly get loaned out, having to prove himself, and then he just leaves the club for pennies after really not getting anywhere with his career. And I hope that that isn't the case. You know, obviously he's got to prove himself at a number of clubs. I'd suspect that he will be loaned out at some stage, whether he plays academy football for the full entirety of next season. But I don't know, man. It's just, it's a controversial one. It's got a lot of people talking, but ultimately the way I see it, as long as the club has got a good fee out of it, I'm happy. Especially like if it's 1.5 million for a player that's played 7 times in League One, you take that happily any day of the week. So yeah, there it is. There is our January transfer window dealings for the 2021-22 season. Overall, yeah, I think a fairly decent one. I thought we've strengthened in certain areas. We've had to let go of a couple players so they can go out and get some minutes. There is obviously some controversial ones in there, but I think overall, fairly decent transfer window. You know, Chuks and Aneke, we know exactly what we're getting with this signing, another option in the attack. I do hope that both Castillo and John do make an impact here and they do get games, but the way things are going right now, they just seem like a waste of a signing, and I think that was the thing that let us down in the transfer window. Like I said, I hope Jackson proves me wrong, and I hope those two prove me wrong in the fact that they do work hard in training and they do get minutes for us, because at the moment, just seems like a complete and utter waste. Scott Fraser, signing of the transfer window for us. I really do hope that he gets involved in the squad towards the end of this season and he can make a solid impact, because he is one of the best midfielders in this league on his day. The youngsters getting out on loan is very good. Dempsey and Davison, I hope that they do make a name for themselves, because I think that they will be leaving the club at the end of the season. Kirk, very controversial to the fact that Blackpool have an option to buy in it, but hopefully Blackpool don't take up that option. He does come back to us a better player. And obviously with the Burstow situation, that's modern day football. That is modern day football. What can you do? Not entirely impressed by the fact that he's come back to us on loan, but what can we do? It's going to be interesting to see what we do with this. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, can you possibly leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you are notified of every time I upload a new video. What do you guys think of our January transfer window? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about our new signings? What do you think about the players that have left the club? Let me know. This has been Tyler Rolinson. Have a nice day, and I will see you all in the next video. Take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you all then.